What's up? Thank you guys for tuning in to Sportshead Radio. I'm going to give you guys my picks for the West region. Gonzaga, they're the number one seed in the West region. They're going to be playing against Fair Dickinson. I'm not going to go in too much with this game. I think it's pretty obvious. Gonzaga is probably one of the most balanced and most efficient teams in the tournament. So therefore, this is too easy of a pick. I'm taking Gonzaga. Obviously, that's just the automatic W. And the next game, we have an 8 and 9 matchup. Syracuse at the 8 seed, Baylor at the 9 seed. Now, Syracuse, they're pretty good in defending the shot. They're in the top 20 in shooting defense. Their defensive efficiency is actually in the top 50, which is not bad. Their offense does need some work, but they're pretty good at shooting the three. But their zone I think part of it is their zone could cause problems because that's their primary defense. And what also is interesting is Baylor is primarily a zone defense. So with that being said, you're probably going to see a lot of low scoring action. They both play more at a slower pace, especially with both of these teams playing 2-3 zones. So it's going to rely on the players to penetrate and get to the basket and whoever's kicking it out and creating open shots. But with that being said, I have Syracuse winning this game by 5 points or less. The 5 seed, we have Marquette, a really good three-point shooting team. They're in the top 10 in terms of shooting the three ball, but they're pretty much one-dimensional. They struggled against teams like Georgetown and other teams within that conference. But they're going to be playing a Murray State team with basically a top 3 prospect, Ja Morant. This guy's phenomenal. He could jump out the gym. He's one of the best. Actually, he is the best point guard in the nation. This guy could literally do it all. He could pass. He's basically one of those nice young players that's going to rise up the draft boards. He can make a Dwayne Wade defining moment in March Madness. With that being said, I like Murray State to pull the upset over Marquette against a one-dimensional shooting team that could get hot and cold. I like Murray State in the win. The next matchup, Florida State, the number 4 seed versus Vermont. What's interesting is a lot of experts, they have Florida State as a dark horse team to make a run. But their efficiency numbers are not that great. They're pretty subpar. Yes, I understand they're a long team. They have a big time center, and they have a good chance of getting a solid rebounding rate. But this Vermont team is very efficient in both sides of the ball. I'm actually going to take the upset in this one. I like Vermont to upset Florida State and actually shock the world. I like Vermont, the 13th seed, to beat FSU. Now, with Arizona State, they're going against Buffalo. Buffalo's a pretty efficient team. They're very high in terms of rebounding the basketball. They're top 10 in the country. Their offensive efficiency is in the top 25. Their defensive efficiency is in the top 50. This team is actually more balanced than what people think. I think this team actually qualifies as a potential Cinderella team. I like Buffalo to beat Arizona State and to advance. Next matchup, we have Texas Tech, the number 3 seeded team, playing against a Northern Kentucky team. Now, I feel this Northern Kentucky team is kind of being overlooked, and this has a potential upset alert. Keep this in mind. But Texas Tech's number 3 seed, they're pretty solid on defense. They're actually number 1 in the country in defensive efficiency, and this team is actually top 5 in terms of shooting defense. But this Northern Kentucky team is no slouch. They're in the top 50 in offensive efficiency, and they're also in the top 75 in defensive efficiency. With that being said, don't be surprised if Northern Kentucky actually wins this game because they're top 3 in the country in three-point shooting. Texas Tech relies on their defense to create for their offense, and they don't score, and they're basically in the top 200 in terms of points per game. That's very concerning. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Northern Kentucky wins, but I think Texas Tech wins close. Now for the next game, we have the 7 seed Nevada versus the 10 seed Florida. This Nevada team is pretty efficient, but their stock is pretty down. Hopefully they can recruit it together within their conference tournament. Then you have a Florida team who barely lost to Auburn. Auburn has been on a roll lately, but I feel like Florida's style play fits in the tournament. I actually like Florida in an upset over Nevada more than what people think. I like Florida beating Nevada and advancing on to the second round. Next matchup, we have Michigan versus Montana. This is a potential upset alert, believe it or not. Michigan's offense is not as great as what people think. They lost some players. They lost Mo Wagner, and he got drafted by the Lakers. This Montana team is pretty much efficient. They shoot very well from three-point land, and they're top 50 in terms of rebounding percentage. Don't be surprised if Montana puts the upset on Michigan, but I have Michigan winning close because they're top 3 in the country in fewest turnovers per game. They're one of the top 5 teams in defensive efficiency. With that being said, I like Michigan in a close matchup. Thank you guys for tuning in to Sportshead Radio. Guys, go ahead and click and subscribe to the Space Entertainment Network. Go ahead and follow them on Instagram at the Space Entertainment Network. You guys go ahead and follow me at Sportshead Radio on Twitter, Instagram, and on SoundCloud for the latest podcasts and more in-depth analysis on the SoundCloud. And guys, thank you guys for tuning in here on Sportshead Radio. For more predictions and insight, click on the links below.